Hello everybody, welcome to the United Stands. I'm Mark Goldbridge and this is your latest Manchester United transfer news as news comes in from David Ornstein in relation to Marcus Rashford and his future. Could he be following in the footsteps of Jadon Sancho and not going to Chelsea, but starting off by going to Dortmund? They are interested, as are Galatasaray. The clubs are lining up like Tiger Woods' golf bag because Marcus Rashford's got a lot of interest. Also, more on Zirkzee. Very confusing situation with Zirkzee. Reading a lot of your comments from this morning. Look, the story keeps changing, and I still stick by that there must be something from his side that's unsettled. The latest is that United players and Amorim are trying to convince him not to give up on his Man United dream. I'm just confused by that. I feel like we need prime Sir Alex to come in and say, mate, you've only been here 6 months. Giving up on your United dream? You've only just had your United dream. What is there to convince you about? I mean, if we're trying to convince people like Zirkzee, we really are in trouble. I mean, I don't understand what he needs convincing about. I really don't. Anyway, let's hit the main story. We're here to talk about Marcus Rashford. This is coming in from David Ornstein, so you take it as read. He says, Borussia Dortmund are among a number of clubs considering a move to sign Rashford on loan from Manchester United this month. The Bundesliga team joins the likes of AC Milan, Juventus, and some Premier League suitors in weighing up an attempt at recruiting the 27-year-old England international on a deal until the summer. So look, I mean, dream world, we sell him and he's gone. But we live in a real world where his wages are arguably double what they should be. Maybe 75% really. I think he should be on about 220k a year. I think that's about right, but certainly not 325. No one's going to pay that. No one's going to pay those wages and give us a transfer fee. We're not living in a Harry Potter world. We're living in the real world. So a loan deal it's loan or stay, basically. Now, interestingly, the next part of what David Ornstein said, and I want to get your thoughts on this, no decisions have been made as of yet by any party, and it is still plausible that Rashford stays at Man United despite a willingness to part ways. But external interest is building and discussions are taking place to establish the viability of a temporary switch away from Old Trafford. Look, I do not like the sound of him staying. I really don't, and I don't think anybody really does. On the other hand, I don't like the idea of him going on loan and being a problem again in the summer. I'd be worried that, much the same as Sancho, he went to Dortmund. Oh, he was amazing. He wasn't actually amazing at Dortmund. He had a few good games and he had a few bad games. But, you know, he plays well at Dortmund and he comes back and then the star boy's back in training for the summer again and we give him another chance. Like, that's what worries me. But it doesn't worry me as much as let's not do anything and carry on. So I think the loan is not perfect, but it's the right thing to do for everybody. And I think United need to move on and Rashford needs to move on. Now, the encouraging thing for me is that I accept a loan deal is probably the only thing we can do. And when you've got Juventus, Galatasaray, Dortmund and AC Milan publicly being named already, you would hope that there are some other clubs that haven't been named yet who are interested as well. Because like a transfer, a loan is very much the same. It will be for Manchester United to get the best deal we can get from all the people that are interested. And of course, Marcus Rashford's going to have a say in it, and he should have a say in it. But if Dortmund are willing to give us 5 million again for Marcus Rashford and hit half of his wages, I'd do that. We did that with Sancho a couple of years ago. In fact, it was last year, wasn't it? We got 5 million out of Dortmund for Sancho, and I think they paid half his wages, which were about 300k. So it's a similar sort of thing. Bike says Dortmund can jog on with this loan idea. To be honest, Greg Donald says Juventus are interested. Yes, that was a team that we mentioned a couple of minutes ago. I don't really care where he goes. I wouldn't want a Premier League club, if I'm being honest. I don't see the point of a Premier League club. On the one hand, they've probably got the money. But on the other hand, out of sight, out of mind. If he goes to Germany or Milan or Spain, he'll still get reported about, but it won't be in front of us. If he goes and plays for, Chelsea, for example, it's there every week. It doesn't actually matter in a footballing sense. I've got no problem with Rashford going on loan to Arsenal or Chelsea because we're not going to catch them this year. So they're not going to damage us. They're not a rival. But it's more the fact that it's in your face and there needs to be a separation. So I'd sell him to a Premier League club. I wouldn't loan him to a Premier League club because if you sell him, it's not our problem. But if you loan him, he's still our player. So I wouldn't loan to a Premier League club. But it's interesting that David Ornstein says that there are some Premier League clubs interested in a loan because I'd wonder who some of those clubs would be. I mean, for example, I think it'd be a good loan deal for Spurs. Dennis says nobody in the Premier League wants him. Spurs have got money, mate. Spurs have got money. It'd be a good loan deal for Spurs. He would. He definitely would. But I don't know. I wouldn't loan Premier League. So it's interesting. I personally think that David Ornstein, and I'm breaking news, I think David Ornstein's a very reliable journalist, and I think he's just laying the foundations for covering bases that there's no guarantee what's going to happen. But I've played the game, you've played the game. When you have a situation whereby a player hasn't played for the club in weeks, has been ill twice in the last month, and is openly saying he wants a new challenge, and we've got lots of clubs talking to us, I don't see how you put yourself in that situation where he's not playing, he wants to go, Amorim's not picking him, he's been ill twice, there's clubs interested in him. I don't see how you go from that to he's back in the team and everything's fine. I just think Amorim would look stupid, Rashford would look stupid, the club would look stupid, and the fan base would be sort of confused. I think we're walking down the road now where we have to do something. That doesn't mean he doesn't come back in the summer and play for Man United again, but I think between now and the summer that there has to be a separation, and I think we will get there. I think that United have got to be realistic. And it's funny because I see some people moaning and I think, you know what? What are you moaning about? Like we've had people saying that we should just sack him. We should pay him off and sack him. And those same people are now saying, well, we can't loan him. We need a transfer fee. Like, you got to be real. We're not going to sack him because that would cost tens of millions of pounds. And we're not going to sell him because no one's going to buy him. So you find the best situation that you can. And Rashford has to be on board with it 100%. So you find the best deal that you can. Look, I always think 9 times out of 10, the player comes out of these situations in a better situation than some people would say they deserve. He is going to get a very interesting he's going to get a very interesting deal. I would say exciting deal. You know, Dortmund, Milan, Turin, Barcelona, Paris, Galatasaray. You know, you're going to get a very interesting deal out of that. So let's see what happens. But I don't see him staying. I know David Ornstein says it's still a possibility, but I don't see him staying. I think we're walking down a road now where it would look... Take Rashford out of the equation, Amorim would look weak, Ineos would look weak if they backed down and, you know, said, let's stay now. I think it's, let's move through it. And hopefully as well, let's move through it really quickly, because it's not, Rashford going on loan is not going to create money for us to buy anybody. And what Rashford going on loan, and one of you deserves the credit on this. If Rashford goes on loan, I think Mawani comes in as his replacement on loan. And you've got to look at money. And Mawani on loan to United is probably going to be the same as what we get for loaning Rashford out. So I think that sort of cancels each other out, because we're not going to make a lot of money on Rashford going on loan. You're looking for the summer to maybe sell him then. So I think that's how it might work. Patrick Lynch has given us a super chat. Legend says, any Rashford deal probably happens like Sancho did at the end of the previous window. Knowing Ineos, they'll be trying to get something that benefits United financially, not just removal of a player. And look, a loan deal puts a player in a shop window. And if I was Ineos, and I knew the situation, I'd be pushing for a loan deal because I know I've got to sell the player because I know the relationship between the manager and the player is not good. So I've got to sell this player. I can't sell him in January, so I'm going to have to sell him in the summer. How do I sell him in the summer if I allow him to stay at the club with a manager that doesn't like him and isn't going to pick him? It's stupid. I need to put him in the shop window, and Amorim's going to put him in the back room. So I would be putting him in Milan or Dortmund, where you know he's going to play, and put himself in the shop window, and I can sell him easier. And also, I don't want to whisper it, but if Rashford plays in Italy or if Rashford plays in Germany, he's going to play a lot worse teams than he's going to play in the Premier League. Rashford's very quiet against Brentford and Fulham and teams like that. He ain't going to be quiet against half of the Bundesliga and half the Italian league. So it makes sense for us to get him out on loan, regardless of what happens in the summer, because he will play football. He'll play more football. Yeah, let's wait and see what happens. But I'm hoping that can get resolved quite quickly because I agree with Simon. I think the possibility of staying is a negotiation tactic, which we probably don't need. It's a bit like selling your car and then someone likes your car and then you say to them, look, I don't need to sell it. I like the car. I was thinking about selling it next year, but I don't need to sell it now. And it just drops into the mind of the buyer that if I offer them something stupid, they will just say no. So yeah, right. It is a negotiation tactic, but we won't need it if we've got 3 or 4 clubs looking at the deal. And I might be in the minority here, but I said this a few weeks ago. If I'm the chairman or CEO of a decent European club, I'm ringing Man United up and just saying, what are the terms? Because I would be like, if I've got 5 million in my pocket, why would I not spend it on Rashford for 4 or 5 months? Especially in a league out of the Premier League, because I think Rashford can score goals. He can score goals. My worry with the Rashford loan is that he will perform really well and then we'll feel obligated to use him when he returns. That maybe is a downside. Look, Ruben, that is a downside. It's the same as Sancho at Dortmund. But if the club is stupid enough to think that a player going on loan and performing well is a ticket back to Man United, then more fool Ineos and more fool Amorim. I wouldn't be falling into that trap of he's had enough chances at Man United over the last few years. In a million years, I wouldn't be thinking if he goes to Milan and scores 10 goals, I better give him a chance back at Man United. Like but that would be on them. I really don't. Do you think he'll go to Barcelona? No, I don't think he'll go to Barcelona because I think they've got their own financial troubles. So I don't see how that's going to happen. I saw Barcelona and PSG getting linked to Duran from Villa today, and I was like, why don't you just go for bloody Rashford? But there we go. Agate is the machine needed in the midfield, says Amir. Yeah, we spoke about Agate this morning, didn't we? Glad that a lot of people are getting on to him. Zirkzee. So a bit of a development again this afternoon. Being reported from a couple of British outlets that Man United players are trying to persuade Joshua Zirkzee not to give up on his Manchester United dream. He's a popular player in the dressing room and they don't want him to leave. I very rarely find myself in a situation where I'm like, I don't get this. Am I missing something? So I throw it over to you. What am I missing here? What am I missing here? Why are Man United having to persuade Zirkzee not to give up on his Man United dream? What? He's only been here 6 months. It's like going on a bloody lads' holiday and missing home at the airport. Not even bloody landed yet. Not even, I don't get it. I mean, Maka makes a great point. Do you think he's homesick? That's what I mean. That's what I mean. I think I don't know whether it's that, but there's clearly something he's not happy about. Because it's always from his side, it's always from Italy, it's always Italian clubs, and it's always agent-led by the looks of it. The club don't want him to go. The players don't want him to go. The fans are only talking about him going because it's constantly in the press. We shouldn't even be talking about this. I'm repeating myself from this morning, but why are we even talking about Zirkzee leaving Man United? He's been here for 6 months. It'd be like talking about Mazraoui leaving. I know Mazraoui's had a better time, but I don't think it's got anything to do with ability or performance. I just think there's something unsettled about Zirkzee, and I don't get it. And honestly, if we're having to convince him to stay after 6 months, there might be a hint that we should let him go, because if he's unsettled in his first 6 months, we've made a mistake in recruitment. And it's not the lad's fault, but if he's unsettled, Ineos have done exactly what we said they shouldn't be doing. They've not done their homework on the personality of a player and suitability for this task. Because we need players like Agate who come into Manchester and are determined to succeed for themselves and the club. And if Zirkzee is unsettled, how the hell is he going to have the mentality to be fighting for the club when he's unsettled himself? So it's a worry. It is a worry. And I don't understand why we're having to convince him. And it does worry me that if he's unsettled in Manchester, how the bloody hell can he be the right player that we need? We need fight and fire and passion and dedication and perseverance and commitment. And we're talking about a player after 6 months that is unsettled and unsure about whether he's going to stay, or I'll give it another 6 months. Like, if this was a story of a Liverpool player or an Arsenal player, you'd be going, what the bloody hell's going on? Why is a player after 6 months unsettled, and potentially stories about him going? I just think it's an odd one, and I think Ineos have made a mistake here. I don't blame Zirkzee. I do not blame Zirkzee. I think somebody along the line has made him. Look, if he stays, he's got my support. I've always given him my support. It's very early days. In a playing sense, you can't write a player off after 6 months. But I am concerned about the constant unsettled stories about transfers, etc., because it just looks bad on Ineos. I even saw on social media today, somebody said it feels like AC Milan was the move he wanted to make, and then his agent said, you can double your money at Man United. And it feels like maybe there's something in that, because he was going to AC Milan for a long time. I think even Romano was saying for quite a while he's going to Milan. And then United sort of came in and went, here's a load of money. And then the next thing he's coming to Man United. And, you look back on it and you go, was money the factor? Sometimes you've got to follow your heart. And I always remember, I think it was Van Basten said that Zirkzee left Bologna a year too soon anyway. So, I don't know. But they need to, if he's going to stay, he's got to get his head down. He's got to be happy. He's got to be focused, and he's got to be determined. Because you know what? I think about it, and there's been plenty of times we've been doing watch-alongs, and I've seen it in the chat, and people have said, I feel sorry for Zirkzee. He looks like a rabbit in the headlights. And you know what? I think I'd sort of agree. I think that there are times where you feel sorry for him because he does look a little bit lost. He doesn't come on the pitch, and for the position he plays and how good he was at Bologna, he's an aura player. He's a creative. People have likened, obviously he's not Berbatov, but he is that type of a footballer, a Cantona, a Berbatov. They're an aura player, and how important is confidence and mentality in that. And there has been times where he's like a rabbit in the headlights. Well, is that because he's just not settled? We're never going to get the best out of him if he's not settled. Imagine Cantona if he wasn't settled. Forget it. These players are magicians. Now, I am not comparing Zirkzee to Cantona and Berbatov, but what I'm saying is he is that type of player that he's not an out-and-out striker, he's not an out-and-out number 10. And if he's not settled, no wonder. And there are times where he's misplacing simple passes and he looks a little bit lost. And again, I don't blame Amorim 1 minute. I don't blame the player. I blame the people who brought him in the summer, because it doesn't look like at the moment we bought a player that was absolutely obsessed with coming to Manchester United, because if we did, we wouldn't be having conversations for the last 6 months about leaving. And this is my problem with Man United, is that we are moving in the right direction, but every manager that comes in ends up with baggage from the previous manager. I mean, even Ten Hag, when he came in, think about all the things he had to deal with that weren't of his making. I mean, Sancho was not of his making. That was a problem that was going on way before he came in. And this Zirkzee thing, well, Amorim didn't buy him, but he's got to try and deal with it. So, look, if he's staying, we need to see the real Zirkzee. We can't see rabbit in the headlights. We can't see more stories from Italy. Like, my fear is he stays, and then the minute it hits February the 1st, Juventus are still really interested in the summer. We can't have that. We need commitment, and we should be talking about Zirkzee being here for the next 2 years at least. We all know De Ligt's not going anywhere, Mazraoui's not going anywhere, Agate's not going anywhere. So we should be talking about Rashford going, Casemiro going, Anthony going. We shouldn't be talking about Zirkzee going. It's just ridiculous, and we shouldn't have to persuade a player after 6 months to be staying as well. Let's go Reds. Mainu and Agate have to be our midfield duo, says that Tommy Kid. I agree with you, but we need more than that. I don't want to be depressing here, but I think United can win the Europa League. That's not depressing, by the way, but I think we can win the Europa League. And I want to run a poll on this, actually, because I'm not leaving this bandwagon. Will United win? Because I just want to know how many are with me. Will United win the Europa League? I genuinely believe we're going to win the Europa League. I've seen enough of Man United from the games against Arsenal and City and Liverpool away to know that we can go to difficult places and keep the ball. And I think when you can go to difficult places and keep the ball, you are capable of winning this Europa League. And I look at that Europa League and I see Lazio, Athletic Club, Anderlecht, Lyon, Eintracht Frankfurt, Galatasaray, Rangers, Tottenham, Ajax, Real Sociedad, Roma, Olympiacos, Fenerbahce. I don't see anybody that makes me go, oh my God, I think we can win this Europa League. But what if Mainu or Agate get injured? I don't think we can win this Europa League. So I worry about that midfield, because beyond Mainu and Agate, it is. I mean, Bruno can do a job there, but he's doing a job. I think we need more than that. Ed says we're not winning the Europa League with an Arna in goal. Liam says Tottenham. Liam, come on. Tottenham are shit at the moment. Tottenham could beat us, but so could Lazio. But what I'm saying is there's no reason why we can't win it. I think we're going to win it. And 58% of you agree with me. Yeah, we're on a bandwagon. Remember where I said it first. Let's go Reds. Zirkzee's the next Di Maria, says Quinst. No. I'm not having negativity towards Zirkzee. I feel like he has... he's a young lad, and I feel like he's been badly advised somewhere along the line. With Zirkzee, what happened in the game when he got taken off early really affected him, and now he wants to go. Need to be careful with young players. I disagree, LMP. I disagree. I completely disagree with you. I don't think this has got anything to do with the jeering last week. He's been linked to Italy since September. Romano said that his agent's been talking to Juventus for weeks. It's not even a week. It was a week last night that he got booed off. So this has been going on for ages. Have you seen the movie called Substance? It's a metaphor for the parasitic relationship of the Glazers. The ending is telling, says Butters. We're all going to watch that now. And also we've had a super chat from Victoria Bishop. Says Rashford is the benchmark for players we sign. They see his salary and they negotiate against it. Huge wage with the output of Darren Anderton, says Victoria Bishop. And interestingly, if you did remove Rashford and Casemiro, the biggest earner at the club would be the captain, Bruno Fernandes, on 300k a week. I still think he's on too much money, but it's a lot better, isn't it? When your captain who plays every week is your top earner, you've got a very justifiable argument with any new signing or anyone who wants a new contract. If they say, I want 300k a week, you go, well, last time I checked, you're not the captain, you're not a leader, you don't play every single game, and you haven't been here for a few years. So we are slowly but surely changing our wage bill. if we can get a couple of players out. Will Mawani come if we don't get Champions League, says Ethan? He's meant to be coming now, mate. It's a loan to the end of the season, so we're never playing Champions League football. So Spurs aren't in the Champions League either. Chris says, I've seen a lot of stories about potentially selling Mainu. We're not selling Mainu. We're not selling Mainu. I mean, if you have listened to what Paul Scholes said about Ineos, I've seen a few clips of it, and he's basically been quite, forthright and said that he said that ridiculous ticket prices are a joke. He says, Ineos have been in charge of Man United for a year now and everything is negative. I can't think of something positive that they've done for the football club. Things are getting worse on the football pitch, so couldn't they have just said that they'd do cheaper tickets? Couldn't they just give us something positive? How can you ask Man United fans to pay more with what's on the football pitch? He also went on to say that where did the owners get the front to put ticket prices up? For the value, we're probably having our worst ever Premier League season and they've got the cheek to put the prices up. There is nothing positive happening with the football club. The team look bang average. They're not doing anything for the fans. If we've got Sir Jim Radcliffe compared to all these American owners, who's been a United fan since growing up in an area in Manchester, he's still hiking up prices. It just shows that they don't care. I mean, look, it's very, very fair. And the reason I mention that is, one, Paul Scholes echoes a lot of what we've been saying for a long time. But secondly, you're never going to get away with selling Kobbie Mainoo. So I don't see that happening. And it certainly shouldn't be happening. I think what has been said in the past is that Manchester United will... it's been said that, look, nobody's not for sale. But I think that's just to try and generate interest around players. We won't be selling Kobbie Mainoo. I would love them to win the Europa League, but these players are not consistent, says Desiree. And Mark says, I don't understand the Europa League. Genuine question. Why do you think we'll win it if we're in 7th? Because there are 8 games in a league system where if you finish in the top 24, you go through to a knockout system. And that's the best thing I can say about that. Do you agree with Scholes? I don't like cutting money to the charities. I don't like sacking ordinary people. I don't like increasing ticket prices. I don't like the debt, and I don't like the Glazers. And they're all negative things to do with Ineos. Do I agree with him that everything they've done in 12 months is negative? No, I don't, actually. I think that the summer transfer window, I know I'm in the minority here. I still think the summer transfer window was very good. I really like Yoro for the future. I like the 3 young players that we brought in for the future as well. Obi Martin, etc. I like the Agate deal. I like the De Ligt and the Mazraoui deal. I think our summer I liked getting rid of Wan-Bissaka, and I thought McTominay was a good deal to do. If we can remove Casemiro in this window and we can start moving people like Rashford out, we are doing things in the transfer market that we've needed to do for years. And I think we do live in a society where everything's great or everything's bad, and there can be 80% bad and 20% good. And I think that's where we are with Ineos, in my opinion. I think they have done a lot bad, but I also think there are some good things that would never have happened under the Glazers. The Glazers would never be moving Marcus Rashford on, for a start. So they'd never get Casemiro out either. So I think they've done some good. They've done a lot bad. Amorim's handling of Rashford and Zirkzee will be crucial for his growth as a young manager. Let's not forget he's still learning, and this could shape his future, says Yeki. Thank you very much. Okay, well, it's only meant to be a quick update at 2 o'clock. Thanks, everyone, for tuning in. It was me today because Beth's off, but she's back tomorrow. But I am on 7 o'clock tonight because I'm doing Arsenal-Newcastle on That's Football as a watch-along. So thanks, everyone, for tuning in. Enjoyed that. I hope you did as well. And yeah, get in the comments. Let me know your thoughts. Just as well, I'm just going to leave you with this. You know, this morning I was saying that Sir Alex Ferguson said to Nicky Butt when we got knocked out of the Champions League, it's your fault. You've let the fans down, me down, and your players down. Yeah, absolutely brilliant. But I I also saw on the same documentary last night when Aberdeen beat Rangers and he was in charge of a final. I've never seen this before. Aberdeen, Sir Alex Ferguson's in charge. They win the cup final against Rangers, who Rangers and Celtic dominate Scottish football. He's doing an interview on the pitch and going mad. They've just won and he's going mad. He's going, it's a disgrace. It's an absolute disgrace. We're not a team that plays like that. Absolutely shocking, disgraceful performance. He's just won the cup final and he's going absolutely mad. Disgrace. Absolutely. Didn't let the wives come to the party afterwards. They bloody won. And I'm just like, God, no wonder we were successful and no wonder we're so shit now. We've gone from having a guy in charge who slags his players off when they get knocked out, who kicks players out because he doesn't like them even if they're good, and also when he wins a final, slags the players off as well. And then we've gone to this, where we've got this, Player FC, protect everybody, charitable bullshit approach to Manchester United. And hopefully, Amorim is going to change that. Thanks everyone for watching. I'll see you at 7 o'clock.